Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here again, and we got some massive news today as the Division 3 was officially announced. I didn't know if this day would ever come. I was worried that after the Division 2 and all the ups and downs that the game has had, that game would be the last one in the series, and they would shift all their focus to the Division Resurgence, which is their mobile game, and then the Division Heartland, which is their survival PvEVP game that I don't know when that's going to come out. There's been a lot of rumors. We've seen teases and everything like that, but it's been so long since it's been announced. I'm really skeptical about that game. Feels like it might be another Skull and Bones situation, but I hope not, because if it follows in the vein of the survival mode from the Division 1, Heartland could be very good. But on to the Division 3, we know that they are bringing over developers who are going to be finishing up with Star Wars Outlaws, which is dropping next year. And after that, they should be free to work on the Division 3. It probably won't release for another 2 to 3 years if I had to guess. So I wanted to talk about things I would look forward to and want to see with the Division 3 if it is going to be a success like the Division 1 was. So obviously the first game had its fair share of issues, but it was so different, so unique, that I think it definitely did a lot of things really well. The Dark Zone was such an interesting concept, and I think it had the right balance at times of risk versus reward. That is something that felt like it was missing in the Division 2, where it felt like the Dark Zone was okay to go in, but I think they really need to lean into that concept because it's something that separates the Division from other franchises. It allows you to go really test yourself not only in PvP but also in PvE for some really good loot, and I think it's a way to extend the end game, right? A lot of these games are looking for ways to really improve upon end game. You see it with Destiny 2 as they have raids and dungeons. You see it with other games with like world bosses and the like, and I think leaning into that PvEVP aspect could be an endgame, because you see games can survive just strictly off of PvP, and I think that's somewhere that the Division would really work well. And then for your strictly PvE players, having something like the Underground return would be massive. I think these missions that are quick, good loot, escalating difficulty, and that's something that I think would very much benefit the Division. I also think that there's a lot of room for improvement with gear. How you have in the Division 2, how you can focus farm gear, that's absolutely necessary. You can do different things with endgame like raids and the like for PvE, and I think there's potential there for sure, as long as there's build diversity, which has been lacking in the Division over the course of time. Oftentimes you'll see like one or two options be really powerful compared to other things. Powerful ultimate abilities and all that kind of good stuff. I do think there's got to be a lot of variety in order to keep people interested and engaged. So hopefully that is the case. I would love to see it. Now, other things that I want to see personally from the Division 2 is escalating difficulty in the world tiers, but also a way to stay engaged with the game, whether you're playing solo, co-op, no matter what you're doing. So what I mean by that is have certain activities like an Underground or something like that be purely solo, and then also have a pure co-op option, and with matchmaking and all that kind of good stuff to keep people interested no matter what their playstyle is, but also allow them to test their builds at the highest level. Say you have a horde mode where you can jump in by yourself and just go after wave after wave after wave of enemies and really test to see how your build is working. You could have something like that with a leaderboard that I think would be very successful overall, and something that I think the Division player base as a whole would very much enjoy. Whether that's just a straight horde mode, something like the Underground, or anything like that, having that separation of solo player versus team player would be interesting. You could do the same thing with the Dark Zone. You could have one Dark Zone, but different, essentially, instances that you load into, whether you are solo or with a team. And I think that would make things a little bit more enticing if you are a solo player and you don't have a set squad, you know. And yes, you can do matchmaking, but if you had like a solo queue versus a team queue, that would really change things up, as it would allow you to have those solo players be as engaged as the team players, because the loot's going to be the same, right? There's going to be more to distribute with the team play as you have more enemies, more PvP enemies. You can cover more ground, all that kind of good stuff. But if you're a solo player, you still have the option to jump in and not just get ganked by 3 players right as you launch in. That's the other thing, is I hope there's multiple spawns, enough of them to where you're not getting instantly bombarded as soon as you enter, because I know that was a problem in the Division 1 at times as well. And then as far as gear goes, I want to see really interesting weapons, really interesting legendaries, exotics, whatever that you want to call them, as well as some sets of armor that are, you maybe can do skill bonuses like we saw with the set bonuses in the past, or you could just do standalone exotics and gear that is going to shine for a specific build, so you can really lean into a certain playstyle. And so either one of those would be fine with me. But overall, I think there's a lot of potential for a game like that. We know that the person coming back to head up the project is from the original Division, so hopefully they take the best things from the original Division that everybody loved, combine them with some of the improvements that we saw with the Division 2, because for all its flaws, the Division 2 did have some nice things going for it. It had some issues with seasons and replayability and all that kind of good stuff. It definitely faded faster, but there is some stuff there that you want to keep and bring forward to the Division 3. And I think all told, there's a potential to be an absolute banger game that could really shake up the looter shooter space. Because right now we're seeing Destiny is kind of fading a little bit, as we know that the final shape is going to be the last expansion in this Light vs. Dark saga. You've got things like the First Descendant for appearing on the scene right now in beta, and that could be a banger, but that's one that I think will appeal more to Warframe fans than anything. And so you also have Warframe still kicking, and other games have tried and failed. So there is a massive gap in the looter shooter space for the Division 3 to come out firing, but they have to get it right. Delay the game, push it out as long as possible. Does not matter, as long as you do all the things that are going to make the game shine and have enough content to keep players engaged. I think that is what is going to be necessary. If it launches in 2026, so be it, if that's what it means to make a game that is going to stick around for as long as possible. Have enough content that for the first couple months, you can continuously put in some more content as well. Keep people engaged there until you have the first DLC for a season or whatever, however they want to do that whole process, whether they want to do go back to a DLC model, whether they want a seasonal model. That doesn't really matter to me personally, but I think they need to have enough content at launch to keep people interested and engaged for quite some time as they work on some of the issues that might pop up. But they need to get it right. That's the bottom line. If they do, this could be a massive hit and return to form for the Division. Like I said, you also have Heartland coming out that will be the survival aspect. Otherwise, I would say put survival back in the Division 3. I just can't see that happening as long as they're going to have Heartland out there as well. But what if you did some kind of combination like we've seen with Warzone and the new Call of Duties, and have them kind of co-integrated together once the Division 3 launches? That could be very interesting as well. Lots of different options. Anyway, I'm done rambling for now. I'm just really excited about the potential of this game. I want to see what they're doing with it, and hopefully we get some progress over the next couple years. I would love to see that because I'm really, really excited, even though I know it's a very long time away. Anyway, my name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more content from the Division from me going forward, and if you are excited about the Division 3. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.